Hi guys, I'm Danny. I'm the one who takes care of all the background sound and stuff of this whole operation. Um, we're considering to start a Patreon, so if you could do that and support us, it would mean a lot. I'm going to start working on a tier list, and thank you guys so much for watching.
What's up, everyone? We're back here at Lucky Cat Studios with our special guest, Sergio Hernandez. How are you feeling?
Sabby? I'm feeling good, dude. Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for coming through.
An honor. Sick.
Hell yeah. A lot's been happening these last couple of days.
Yep, shit's been pretty fucking wild, dude. So I'm happy that we're here doing something positive and just creating content and making cool stuff happen, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's like really important, you know, for people to keep doing things that have like good vibes about them, positive vibes, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to ask you. Not a lot of people know that you rap and are involved with music. How did you get involved with making music?
Well, it started probably when I was like 14 or 15. I'd have like 2 tape decks and record and shit. Like this was like before fucking any. It was just like a long ass time ago, dude. And so I just always did it just for fun. And I always like, all right, cool. Well, that was cool. You know, I'm not gonna do that again. It's never like to try to be like blow up or nothing like that. It was just having fun, man, with my friends and stuff. And so it's like 20 years probably just messing around with it. Every couple of years I started recording more shit. And then for a while we had Living Dead Records, and it was me and the homie Rocksteady and Bebop.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace Bebop. And we were recording at Beat Farm Studio. And so we had this situation where we're recording every Monday and every Wednesday. We record 2 songs every Monday and 2 songs every Wednesday. We did that shit for like 2 years, dude. And we put out like 20 albums. And there was a hip-hop store called Access Hip Hop in San Diego. And they had every CD. And the dude was just, this dude Adam was just like really open to having artists, you know, have their stuff and sell their stuff there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it must have been like 20 fucking albums, dude. And of course, if we're recording 2 songs every night without editing, without mastering, some of the songs are fucking garbage, you know, and some of them are amazing.
Yeah.
And some of the garbage ones are amazing because we're just fucking around, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's the environment we were trying to create, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so I always like encourage people to do bad art.
Yeah.
Just do bad shit, and then eventually it just becomes good art.
Yeah. Practice expressing yourself as much as you can.
Yeah, that's it, dude. Yeah. And not always for monetary reasons, you know. It's just like for having fun.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned the hip hop store. I had no idea about that. I'm sure you've witnessed a lot of changes here in San Diego.
Yeah, dude. As far as like the rap stuff, I'm just out of the loop, man. I don't really know, you know. Me and you were hanging out, and you're like, yeah, we just made those couple songs and stuff, and I've linked up with other producers, and I just like writing, you know. I hate my voice, dude. I'm like, I always got fucking asthma and nasal problems and all that shit, dude. but more importantly, I just like to write and put ideas together, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of like just good writers like Tom Waits or Bob Dylan or I don't know. There's just like so many just interesting ways to put words together, you know.
Definitely. So, how's the shop going?
Well, the shop is closed because the city hasn't told us that we could open up yet. So I've just been selling prints and doing commissions and stuff like that. The whole thing is absolutely absurd, you know. I think a lot of people are kind of hip to that shit already, that the laws or the regulations are so arbitrary and it doesn't really make much sense, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Things like I feel like sitting on the beach, like, unless it's like heavily crowded, I feel like shouldn't be a reason.
Right. There was at no point should it have been illegal to sit on the beach by yourself.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, you know. Yeah. And I mean, hopefully that brings to light a lot of people, the attention to a lot of people that a lot of these rules and regulations don't make any sense. And that goes for the future as well.
Yeah.
We're going to be hit with all types of ideas about what's best for us.
Yeah.
But I think as a community, we should try to focus on us being able to make those decisions for ourselves.
Right. Yeah. Because I guess the people in power will try to just, you know, implement these things without really even taking our vote or anything. So now more than ever, we have to practice having our voice being heard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the incident recently with the protests is a good example of that, you know.
Yeah.
Did you go to the protest?
I haven't been yet, but
Yeah.
I'm planning on going soon. It's it's a lot to take in, and yeah, it's like
It seems like a dangerous situation right now, you know.
yeah,
But I mean, I think it's good for people to still peacefully protest and bring attention to a lot of these subjects, you know, that aren't really talked about.
yeah. I want to go and see what's going on for myself.
Yeah.
Most importantly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, especially when there's a protest and then they're portraying. They could portray the incidents any way they want, you know, depending on who's filming and what brings the more media attention and all those. You know, they won't focus on the peaceful protests and even some of the ideas that the protesters are putting out there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you. Do you feel like it's a difference this time? Like now that the world is slightly more globalized and we have like everyone has access to phones and like social media platforms versus like like the LA riots like back in the day and things like that.
I think the all the modern technology is for now is helping the people, you know, because we're able to record all these things and publish them and even new ideas, you know what I mean? Like we expected the journalists for so many years, for so many decades to tell us what reality is, what truth is. And now that there's a platform for anyone to build their own ideas, we're able to take all these different opinions and create our own worldview, you know, and I think that's important instead of just going by the script or whatever the fuck the billion-dollar corporations are telling us to think, you know? Yeah.
I feel like I've been noticing too, we're also at the same time learning how to communicate and have like reasonable dialogue without arguing. Because social media also allows for that too, for just straight like arguing and anger and things like that. But I see people having real discussions, which makes me feel. Yeah,
it gives me a little bit of encouragement as well. It's when things are so emotional, it's hard for people to be able to like really talk about different ideas and not be a bigot. A bigot means someone that's not tolerant of someone else's viewpoint or political views or anything. And so it's important for us not to fall into that trap, to get so emotional to where someone says something that you disagree with or is not perfectly in line with the way you feel, and be able to address them like a regular human being, you know? Just talk to them like, because I think online there's no, it's kind of like you feel like you got a shield around you and you could just be angry and say the most rude shit and not have any manners or courtesy. But I think it's important to remember, like, how would you act if you were in front of this person, you know?
Yeah.
And what would you accomplish by being angry? It's kind of hard to accomplish.
Definitely.
Like, if you're talking from person to person, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, you're never going to win someone over by screaming at them, dude. You know? Yeah.
That's what I try to tell my dad.
Really? Yeah, I know, for real. Yeah, man.
I see you got, is this a gi type of gi that you're wearing?
Oh, yeah, this is a Shoei Roll made this with a company called Neighborhood in Japan. And Shoei Roll, it's one of my favorite companies, dude. And my homie Bear runs it, and my homie Tone is a part of it. And they just like supported my artwork for a long time, man. And they just make cool ass shit. So, I'm stoked.
How long have you been practicing martial arts?
It's probably been like 14, 15 years. So I started off because I was getting to a lot of fights when I was like just running around doing crazy shit, dude. And I was like, damn, dude, I better know how to defend myself, because I was walking around with a fucking knife and like weapons and all this shit to protect myself, you know, because I was running into people that wanted to fight me. And so eventually I started like, it was just too violent, man. So I wanted to figure out a way to like just defend myself and cause the least amount of harm to somebody as possible. So it was important for me to be able to do that, you know?
Yeah. If for any reason police are listening to this, you guys should definitely take that in mind. Being able to handle a dangerous situation by causing the least amount of harm is very important.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's a great example of some of the things that we should be advocating for. And, you know, one thing that I think is lacking from the protest currently is any like clear ideas or what policy changes we should be making to benefit everyone, you know? Yeah, it's more just like, it's just like rhetoric without any real ideas, you know? So we need to like have a really healthy conversation about, okay, what can we do to change policy so this shit happens less, you know, so that the cops aren't out there beating up people or fucking shooting people and doing dumb shit like that, you know? And so, like, for me, what I would be advocating for is for police officers to have to learn how to do submission grappling or jujitsu or judo so they could, if someone is unarmed, even though they're aggressive and violent, they don't have to shoot this person. You know, they started with a couple things using like body cams and the tasers and stuff like that. But how come it's still happening so often, you know?
And how come, these, I see the police officers covering their badge numbers. That's a huge sign of disrespect and saying
not
like,
good.
well, like, you know.
Yeah. More police accountability for sure, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing that I would say is important, I mean, since we're on the subject, is that we have to figure out what the laws are when it comes to us being able to defend our neighbors and our friends and fellow citizens, you know? So if you see a police officer that is being violent and acting like a criminal towards someone, what are our rights as individuals to protect our own community, you know? And so that I have no idea. I don't know what the fuck my rights are when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And so we should make sure that everyone's informed. And if the fucking playing field isn't fair, then let's do something to change that.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like as an individual, I should be able to protect. If a 14-year-old kid is getting his ass beat by a cop, I should have the right and face no legal repercussions to help that 14-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so that's very important, you know. And so these are just some ideas. These are just some of my ideas, and that I've heard other people say similar things. But those are the things we have to be out there fucking fighting for, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. A little bit off topic, just curious as to a little tiny background of your family, like your dad, your mom, how you ended up, how they ended up in San Diego, and things like that.
Yeah, my parents were both from Tijuana, from Mexico, which is like, you know, fucking 10 minutes from here or whatever. And then I was the firstborn on my mom's side, born here in the United States. You know, my dad worked in the fields, worked hard, dude, and we just had a very complicated family structure and family life, just like a lot of Mexican families. You know, your cousin, who's your uncle, you know, just like a big family. That was, it was pretty wild, dude. And then I think one of the biggest things is that my mom was Jehovah's Witness, and so that created like a little bit of a problem within my family as well, you know. But I think those experiences really shaped who I am, you know.
Yeah.
Because I'm not religious in any way. I feel like I'm still a very spiritual person, but it really shaped who I am. Because, for instance, I'll give you an example. When I was in first grade, the Jehovah's Witness idea is that you never pledge your allegiance to the flag. And so I was in first grade, and my mom was like, okay, well, this is reality and this is how it is, and you can't pledge allegiance to the flag. You only pledge your allegiance to God, you know? And so in first grade, I wouldn't put my right hand over my heart, and I was the only kid that didn't do that. So everybody was looking at me like, what the fuck, are you crazy, you know? And I stood by my ground. I was able to be the outcast, and I was able to be the weirdo, and I had to be able to be prepared to defend why I felt that way, even as a first grader, you know? And so that kind of like was like a domino effect about how I am now, you know what I mean? Just because everybody does one thing or thinks a certain fucking thing, I'm not immediately going to go into the herd mentality. I want to always question things, you know? And that's how I ended up getting out of being a Jehovah's Witness, because, you know, when I was like 12 or 13 or whatever age I was like, I started asking more and more questions. And, you know, sometimes people, they're so immersed in their ideology or the doctrine that they have within themselves that they could never, ever question it, you know, question it. And thank goodness for me that I was able to, like, somehow, I don't know what triggered that, but I was able to start questioning things and get out of whatever dogmas I created for myself, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So when did you start painting?
Graffiti and stuff like that, or just canvases?
Graffiti.
Yeah, graffiti. I was probably like 12 or 13. I was living in a trailer park on 47th Street in Southeast, right by the 47th Street trolley station, and there was all types of graffiti and in the neighborhood, you know. And so I was like 12 or 13, and I'd like steal spray cans from Kmart, I think, or whatever, and then like go around my neighborhood and write, you know, just write my stupid fucking tag at the time. and it was just having fun, dude. You know, I was like a toy, bro. I was a toy for like so long, dude. Like the worst. I mean, even now my hand styles are fucking garbage, but I've always been like a slow learner. You know what I mean? But like I was saying, I always do shit for fun. So I just kept doing it.
Well, and I'm sure you met a lot of great people along the way.
It's just like the most adventures, you know. That's all it is. It's just having a fun experience, having a fun adventure. You know?
Yeah. You've been also, like, before this all happened, you've been traveling too. What are some places that you've been to recently?
Yeah, I was like lucky enough to Show Your Roll paid for. Basically, Show Your Roll took me out to Europe, and we filmed a bunch of stuff out there, man. It was like really fun. I was able to do a Ju Jitsu tournament out there. I was able to paint graffiti out there, interview people, and it was just like a blast. And I went out there like in high school for a high school trip, but getting the chance as an adult to like go out there and see these things and meet people, it was beautiful, man.
Yeah.
And it happened right when coronavirus started happening.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was the same week.
Coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, I read like the first day I showed up, they're like, fucking China's going crazy and people are dying over there, and I was like, oh fuck, that's crazy, man. Yeah, and so we just did the whole trip and came back. We were able to come back, so it was healthy. So
what have you been doing lately during the quarantine?
Well, I've been trying to focus more on like doing paintings, commissions. I did a Roberto Clemente painting. I don't know, man. Just having fun doing painting and stuff. The latest one was I'm working on this painting about fam art, which is like an indoor swap meet in San Diego. Mm-hmm. It's like not really that popular anymore, but for a while it was fucking cracking, dude. Like you'd go there. This is like some 90s shit. You'd go there and it was like jam-packed. Everybody was getting like stuff stitched into their hats and shit and getting custom shirts, and like that's where you would just go and link up with people and buy the latest music. Mm-hmm. And so it's a little bit of a nostalgia that I've been working with lately as far as my paintings go, you know.
Yeah, I love your painting of like the crazy kind of wacky uncle coming into the party a little late.
Oh yeah,
I love that painting.
Thanks, dude. Thanks. I'll get you a print one of those.
Very
for sure.
Relatable,
Yeah, so that's like nostalgia about like family gatherings and stuff, you know what I mean? And like, I think big families are becoming less and less common. Yeah, you know,
definitely.
And so when I was growing up, I had a big family, and I'm really happy about that. So I wanted to do a painting about that. And it's always the morning breakfast type of vibes, and someone's always hungover. There's always some family tension. You know, there's always like all types of stuff like that. I wanted to depict. Yeah, but the fam art one, I was doing it because like the way we buy and sell things now is way different, you know, because of Amazon and because of, you know what I'm saying, like people paying with Venmo and fucking all these different ways of exchanging goods and services, you know. It's
harder for someone, I think, in my generation to realize that.
Yeah.
But that's why I feel it's really interesting you talking about it now.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like really human aspect to it, you know, to trading goods and services. You know, it's like a face-to-face interaction that you do with someone, you know, and now it's becoming a little bit more rare, you
computerized,
know. So,
digital.
Computerized,
yeah. And have you heard about this ID 2020 thing that they've been pushing around?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about that a little bit. ID 2020, I think it's, from what I understand, it's like, it's technology to where they have some sort of microchip in you, and then you're able to trade, and your bank account information, basically your health and bank account information is all on this microchip that you could have either tattooed or implanted on you. And it sounds like some fucking sci-fi movie, but they have their own website. The technology's out there, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was reading about that shit for 20 years, you know what I mean? And I always like, nah, that's bullshit. That's never going to fucking happen. And now it's just like, you know, it's like, it's here, man. It's here. So I don't know. I mean, it's just interesting that everything that I read about 20 years ago is real shit, you know?
Yeah. This shit we're seeing in the movies is like kind of coming true a little bit.
And I was really inspired by like hip hop growing up, you know? And then in the 90s, hip hop, a lot of artists were talking about these ideas about like New World Order and fucking government overreach, government control of individual people's lives.
Yeah.
And so I was always interested in the subject, you know? Yeah. And then after 9/11 happened, it really enhanced my wanting to learn more about, you know, who's behind different events and what corporations that you don't hear about in the mainstream media, what corporations are involved and who's making a profit off of shit, and yeah, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to figure out what's behind the fucking curtain. You know?
Yeah.
And for people to think that there is no curtain and there's no one behind it, you got to be fucking insane, dude. I mean, there's so many layers to every fucking event, dude. Yeah, so
it's wild.
Yeah,
it's
man.
Crazy.
Just trying to keep a curious mind, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, so
you have to question everything. It's like every time I try and make sense of my reality, it's difficult. So I keep trying to practice that because, like you said, there's so many layers and
half truth, and fucking full straight out lies, and I mean, you just like you don't know. You gotta always like. I mean, I've posted shit, and then there's like a half truth to it, so I take it down, and then I find out that this other thing is true, and I'll post about it. So I keep it pretty fluid as far as me being able to change my opinions on things.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. If say the vaccine comes out and they make it mandatory for the vaccine, could you see that as a possibility, them making it mandatory to, if you want to operate your business or do certain things, that you need to have been vaccinated?
Yeah, I see that as a possibility, and I feel like that's something that they're going to be fighting for. But I think, thank goodness that more and more people are getting hip to, like, it's not a black and white issue. You know, before it's like you're either anti-vax or you're pro-science, and now it's like, no, dude, people are understanding that you can have a more nuanced opinion, and I think that's important, you know. And so a nuanced opinion when it comes to the vaccines is like, okay, maybe some vaccines are good, but we also have to acknowledge that maybe some vaccines are not good because they didn't work, because they didn't get tested properly, or because they actually turned out they fucked up a bunch of people. And so we should have rights as individuals to decide for ourselves what vaccines we want to take.
Definitely.
And I don't believe in a corporation deciding that shit for me, especially not fucking some billionaire that makes computers and shit like that. Like fuck that fool. Yeah. So it's important to have a nuanced opinion, you know. And hopefully when the shit comes and when the time comes and like we got to decide whether or not it's going to be mandatory, there's going to be enough people that are going to be fighting against it for individual rights. Yeah, it's medical tyranny is what they're after, you know, and we got to fight against it. Yeah.
The world just gets more complex as we get older. I'm sure you've witnessed, like, the further we progress into the future, the more restrictions we get. For example, like airport travel, has gone through tremendous restrictions and changes, and now we're wearing fucking masks. Yeah. What the fuck? We're wearing masks. It's like, that's not going to stop coronavirus, dude. Coronavirus, it could go right through a fucking mask. You know, there's very specific type of mask that could actually stop coronavirus from entering your body. Yeah. And so if everyone knows this, why the fuck are we wearing bandanas and T-shirts over our face to go into a fucking coffee shop? It don't make no fucking sense, you know? No. And so I just don't understand how everyone's so quick to, like, just be like, oh, I don't know, it's just what the fuck we got to do. Like, why, dude? Like, why? We all know this is bullshit. So then why the fuck are we doing it, you know? Yeah. And we got to just, like, kind of speak up and call it out before next thing you know, we don't even know why we're doing shit, you know? Yeah. We don't even know what the fuck we're doing. We're just, like, being robots and zombies and stuff, you know? They might be trying to start implementing things, like, little by little. Like, first, of course. Just a mask, guys. Oh, dude, that's how it is. Boom, this, boom. Now it's just a mask. Okay, well, now you can't go in here unless you got your bracelet that shows that you... Dude, somebody got fired. People get fired because they don't want to take the coronavirus test, you know? Yeah. Like, it used to be... you used to have... privacy. Your medical records used to be private. Yeah. And now people pretend like that's not even ever been a fucking thing, you know? Like, they're like, well, you can't work here unless you have a coronavirus test. Yeah. Like, fuck that test. I'll do what I want to be able to do what I want to do, you know? Definitely. Especially within my own establishment. So I guess that's something that I'm worried about once they allow tattoo shops to open up. What mindless, arbitrary regulations they're going to have for me to have to follow. Something that would affect a studio, too, for sure. Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, you can't even have fucking kids playing baseball. Like, that's ridiculous, dude. Like, kids need to be active, you know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like we progressively getting more and more restriction, and it seems like we are, in some cases, we allow it to happen. So,
Yeah, no one's questioning it. I'm like I've been talking about it for a long time, but fucking, I was so surprised how like how many of my friends that were anti-cop, fuck the establishment and all this shit. As soon as the coronavirus stuff hit, they were just like, "No, man, we have to do this." We like, who said? Oh, the fucking CDC has been involved in so much corruption. The World Health Organization that is funded by fucking pharmaceutical companies. Why? Why do we have to do this? I thought you guys were anti-cop. I thought you guys were anti-establishment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe they're just not thinking, or I don't know what the fuck's going on, dude, but it don't make no sense.
I personally don't trust the government because I've taken the time to learn things outside of what they teach you in the regular curriculum and see how the government has betrayed the people, been sneaky, and like there's always some weird agenda that they have. So even still, I'm just like not fully like with them and what they are enforcing.
Yeah.
Because like in the back of my mind, I'm like they're probably pulling some shit again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been doing it since the beginning of the foundation of the fucking country. So yeah, I mean, it's not difficult to like get some information about all the bad shit the government has done.
Yeah.
You know, so why all of a sudden are they our great saviors?
Yeah.
You know, that's not good. The government should only be there to protect our rights and our shit that you worked hard for. You know, so basically, somebody can't just go into your house and take your shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 Or just beat your ass and take your car.
Yeah.
Like, okay, protect me from that, and then protect my right to say whatever the fuck I want, and let me be able to protect my neighbor from getting beat up by a pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What could you possibly give us an assumption of what you think the government's priority is? I personally believe that it would be money, the economy. That money is it's like most government's like priority.
Main priority.
Even people, that's our main priority is money.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many different,
Layers, obviously.
layers. Yeah, I think corporations are after money, but even more, that's more powerful than money is control of people's minds, you know?
Yeah.
And so if you're able to control someone's mind, you can make them do whatever the fuck you want. But I think there's proof that there are the concept of eugenesis, which means that they want to depopulate the world. And so I think their agenda is global depopulation. And so the best way to accomplish that is through controlling and having more control over people's individual lives, you know?
Yeah.
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 So these people are, in my opinion, they want a one world government, you know? I mean, it's not even my opinion. There's papers that talk about these type of things and high level politicians that have addressed this, you know? I mean, even George W. Bush was talking about a new world order. And so what does that mean? It means the destruction of all national sovereignty, which basically means the destruction of culture, of individual cultures, you know?
Yeah.
And, they wanted to destroy the whole system, you know?
Yeah.
And so we got to be able to, like, understand what is national sovereignty. Like, what does that mean, you know? And so the concept of a one world government seems very idealistic and positive, but they're twisting that concept. And so I think they want a one world government to have more control and to be more easily be able to depopulate the world eventually, you know?
Yeah.
And I like going to Japan and it's a Japanese culture.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I like going to fucking Italy and it's an Italian culture. So there has to be some sort of balance there, you know?
Yeah, I feel like America has put in a lot of effort to condition people to think the same.
Yeah.
And to,
I mean, America has gone to so many countries and fucked them up, dude. And I'm completely against that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Definitely.
so there's concepts in American culture that are good. And then there's concepts like our military that's totally fucked up, man. Like, why the fuck are we all over the world in so many countries and all the atrocities we've committed in other countries, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Based on lies most of the time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big global mafia.
Global mafia, dude. There's people behind behind the people, whether you call it Illuminati or the hidden hand or the deep state or whatever the fuck you want to call it, you know.
Yeah.
And you got to always be able to question your leaders, I think, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, we were in Vietnam. That shit was based on a lie.
Yes.
We were in the Middle East. How many innocent people died in Iraq and Afghanistan based on a fucking lie?
Yeah.
And everyone just ate it up, you know.
And here we are, possibly being fed more lies. And now there's people out protesting, getting hurt,
getting fucking shot by by cops, dude. That's insane.
Insane.
Yeah. Police accountability is important, man. We got to figure out really what we're gonna do about that. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put some ideas out there, you know.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long, hard fight, but
yeah,
better now than late.
Yeah. On a positive note, though, we gotta always show love and to our friends, dude, right? And even our enemies. That was one of the messages I was trying to put out there, you know.
Yeah.
Even if someone's a fucking idiot, then why are you gonna get mad about it? The person is uninformed and he's a fucking dummy.
Yeah.
So show this person love and then try to like talk to them, try to understand where they're coming from, and then try to change their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's gonna be the most helpful thing, I think, you know.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you are able to, I guess, become understanding and even to some degree, not necessarily friends, but just like respect, accept, then there can be achieve a lot more peace. But it's hard, when you are holding your hands up, saying I'm unarmed.
Yeah.
And like, police are inciting violence. At that point, what can you really do, you know?
Yeah, for sure. The having the military come out, I think that's going to lead to more violence, dude.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially we're trying to fight against martial law. We don't want that shit, you know. We don't want curfews. I mean, we already had curfews at martial law almost because of the coronavirus, and now we were almost going to be opened up, and now there's like martial law everywhere, you know. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also saw when the quarantine got started, people were reporting seeing tons of military equipment being dispatched all over the place in LA, on trains, tanks, weaponry, all kinds of stuff. And it makes me question whether this might even be part of their plan, their agenda, to have a reason to enforce martial law curfews.
I seen a lot of that as well, and I questioned it, and then I had some people tell me like, no, that military, all those fucking tanks are for this or that, you know what I mean? But it looked pretty fishy to me too, you know. But I wasn't able to really get to the bottom of it or find any good sources as far as like them having everything in place for this sort of incident to happen, you know? Yeah. And I think, dude, it's pretty fucking crazy. Another version of that is like the bricks that have showed up at every protest. Like, who the fuck put those bricks there? Have you seen videos of that shit? Yeah, I just keep seeing those videos and stuff, and so I'm curious if anyone found out who
sent those orders out.
Who paid for that? Who funded that? Because that shit ain't free, you know. Yeah. And what's the purpose of that, you know? I think it's just like chaos. They just want fucking chaos.
Yeah, why are cops smashing windows and destroying their own cars?
You see that shit too? Yeah, that's fucking... That doesn't make no sense, man.
It doesn't make any sense.
So we got to always question everything, man. And I think there's even groups that basically I think the CIA or the government agencies could infiltrate certain groups and just to start chaos, you know?
Yeah, that's what they did with the Black Panthers.
That's what they did with the Black Panthers, and they got them all hooked on drugs, and they assassinated people. I don't think that's a fucking conspiracy, dude. I think that's like just reality. That's really what happened.
Yeah.
There was a civil lawsuit where MLK they agreed that government agencies were involved in the assassination of Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
The government agencies were involved in the assassination of Martin Luther King in a civil lawsuit. How come that's not taught in school?
We know why, because they're trying to
so
carry
we always
on
have
their
to question
agenda.
That shit happened. That shit happened. You could fucking You could even go on Snopes. Fucking Snopes is full of shit though. But you could even go on Snopes, and even by there, they're just like, yeah, but the government didn't really do it, but yeah, they did it. That type of shit. Snopes always does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So that's not taught. So keep that shit in mind whenever a corporation or a government agency is telling you what reality is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also to the parents too, who, we send our kids to school and we don't know what they're teaching them, so it's important to take the time to educate them ourselves too.
Yeah, they federalize education, and so what that means is that the curriculum comes from the very, very, very top, and I think that's a bad idea. I think that it should be communities should decide what they're going to teach their kids. The smaller, basically, is decentralization of all aspects of life.
Yeah.
Because the more centralized something is,
Yeah.
the more control they're going to have of you as an individual.
Which is the exact opposite of a new world order or one government.
Exactly. One government, one centralized thing, one fucking set of rules, medical rules, one set of... it shouldn't be that way,
Yeah.
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 We got to find the right balance.
We got to find the right balance, and we have to, I guess, we have to protest, and we have to fight, sometimes actually fight.
Yep.
And because a lot of the times we will be ignored.
Yeah.
And at some point, it's like, what do we have to do to make it happen?
Yeah. I think we have to hold our politicians more accountable. You know what I mean? We hold our politicians more accountable. There's people that say that they're here to help us, and they're not really here to fucking help us, dude. For me, I'm interested, because I'm a small business owner, I'm interested in small economies. And how do we make strong economies and communities stronger, And so, like, now you have a business as well, And so what policies are going to help us and not hinder us in building and being able to come up a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 And yeah, dude, I mean, it's important.
It's important because then if we, for other people too, if they manage to get themselves out of poverty, it's definitely will lead to less violence, more peace.
Oh, for sure, and stronger communities. you
Yeah.
know? And a lot of people are against making money and fuck this and fuck capitalism, but I'm like, okay, well, yeah, maybe fuck capitalism, but maybe not fuck for the free market. Maybe we need people that are poor to be able to make money so they can provide for themselves and be self-sufficient. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, like, I think what makes a stronger community is ownership of your shit, So in my neighborhood, dude, I've been living there for 30 years, the same families. And that was because they were able to work hard and own their shit. My neighbors to the left of me, a Vietnamese family, the whole family shows up there. So it's a strong community because every family owns their house. And it's not like anybody's rich on that block, dude.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like really, lower middle class.
Yeah.
Neighborhood.
Yeah, working their ass off.
Working their ass off, and they were able to buy a property. Now they're able to pay a mortgage, and they don't teach you that shit in school.
No.
They teach us to be in debt, and they teach you to like go to college and owe another $30,000, and then buy shit that when you don't even own a fucking house, but you got a fancy car. Like all that shit just doesn't make any sense to me, dude. I don't own shit. I don't own my car. I don't own my house. I don't own the building where my business is.
Yeah.
And so all these people that say they're here to help me. Well, how come you guys ain't helping me to be able to own something?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where the real power is at,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%. That's where a lot of people in my generation are gonna struggle in for sure. Especially things like housing. Number one.
Yeah.
Because like, even in San Diego now, finding affordable housing is impossible. Just renting alone. So finding a reasonable mortgage, virtually impossible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we need affordable housing for people, and what creates. Okay, so here's a good example, dude. They asked me to go to a community meeting or whatever, and I went to the community meeting. And this was like a community business meeting, and they're saying, what can we do to help the businesses, right? And so I show up, and they're talking about fucking saving the fucking planet, and then having a $15 minimum wage. And I'm like, okay, I believe in saving the planet and I believe in a living wage, but how does that apply to the tortilla spot or the bakery when they have to pay somebody $9-10 an hour, and it's just like some 16-year-old fucking kid, you know, that needs some work experience. And I was influenced by Thomas Sowell, an economist, and he was talking about how raising the minimum wage for these small businesses, it destroys the small businesses, you know? Yeah, like why shouldn't a Mexican man be able to hire someone, his little cousin or his homie and shit, to get some job experience for less than $50? Like, why don't we make the living wage $30 a fucking hour, you know?
Or make it like apply to bigger businesses that can afford things like that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't know. That's
Walmart. Maybe Walmart should pay $20 a fucking hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Minimum.
they have enough money to do so.
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
if they did that, then they would. I'm sure their business would benefit from it because their employers would be excited to come to work. You know.
Yeah.
These companies need to definitely put a lot more effort into taking care and like spoiling pretty much their employees because they have so much money they could do it, and like these are just things that could make like people happier.
Yeah, and then all the regulations and all the shit that they do, the large corporations are able to afford to do this shit. And then a lot of times they put all these regulations and then it destroys the small businesses because like, oh, okay, now I got to do this and now I can't afford this and now I got to pay this other fucking agency to allow me to keep my business running. And so we got to be question policies, even if they sound like, oh, fuck, we're going to save the planet or we're going to fucking, everyone's going to be getting paid $40 a fucking hour. Okay, well, what does that mean? And where's that money coming from? And how is it going to benefit or hurt? You know? Yeah.
It's so fucking not fair that all these big corporation stores got to stay open, got to allow hundreds of people to walk around and rub shoulders against with each other.
Yeah.
But every single mom and pop shop, no excuse, fucking cannot open their doors in no way.
Yeah, the flower shop, what the fuck? Can't even go buy flowers.
Yeah,
it's
like
ridiculous.
you can practice social distancing better at a flower shop than a fucking Walmart.
Yeah,
and
dude.
it's just not fair because these
Yeah.
guys are still profiting under you know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's not good. So a lot of times ideas sound good, but we have to weigh the pros and cons and what the fuck does that really mean? You know what I mean? What does that new policy mean, you know? Yeah, that's important. It's crazy, man. Yeah, I mean, I just want people to like keep questioning, keep trying to get informed and try not to be in a bad mood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, is there any last thing you'd like to throw out there? Any shout outs?
No. I want to say thanks for you guys for having us, for having me and stuff, and letting me do a couple songs and stuff. And
Yeah.
man, I really look up to the new generation, man, and just everyone seems more interested in getting some knowledge and doing positive shit, man. And I just feel so honored to be involved in the community and be involved in my community and just to be alive right now, dude. It's the craziest fucking time in human history. And I feel like honored to be a part of it right now. And everybody could make a difference. Like everyone could make a difference right now, you know, because of social media, because we're all interconnected through technology right now. And there's never been a time in history where you can make more of a difference than right now.
Thank you so much, Sergio. Thank you so much.
Yeah, dude, I love you guys.
Is there anything you'd like to ask Danny or?
Thank you for the mural.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
thank
dude.
you, Sergio. He
Yeah.
painted our mural here. It's fantastic.
Thanks, man.
It's an explosion of creativity, and it makes the place a lot more fun to be in. Thank you
Yeah,
for.
me and Crimbo.
Yeah.
That's it.